Cubs are going to try to throw everything and the kitchen sink at the National League to get to the World Series. And maybe the pitcher, according to The Athletic, that could help them do that is the guy that throws everything in the kitchen sink. And that's Seth Lugo. He was mentioned as a possibility for the Cubs. We're going to talk about Lugo, what that would mean to the rotation. We'll talk a little Owen Caissie. Looks like he's going to get traded. I got a reason why. We'll get into that. But he was fantastic at the Major League Baseball futures game. And then how about the all-star lineup? I don't know if it's a snub, but, Pete Crow Armstrong batting eighth. Kyle Tucker down there. I mean, come on. Dave Roberts. You a little worried about who you might see in September and October? Well, going to get into all that right here on the channel. Show's brought to you by DCommunity. There's our QR code on the bottom of the screen. That is where we're going to start congregating, right? Web3, it's the future. We got our own place now, and that is at DCommunity. So let's get this show started. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. I ask you guys that every day, and normally I know it's confusing, but I'm not going to say anything about our friends from St. Louis because they're teammates this week, including tonight. We're on the same team. So you guys like and subscribe too. And for today and until the All-Star break's over, we're on the same team. Go Cubs. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball Channel, and it is a pleasure to talk to you today about the Cubs. I know there's All-Star talk coming. I know it's the All-Star game, but look, let me start right here with Seth Lugo. The Athletic saying that the Kansas City Royals star pitcher helped him get to the postseason last year, could possibly be on the trade block. It's not like the Royals are having a terrible season, but the Tigers are running away with the division. And this guy who is under contract for next year, right, is a big chip for them to slide into the middle of the table. And the Cubs are one of those teams that keep getting mentioned with a potential deal. And that's according to The Athletic, that the Cubs are a great fit. Lugo has been Cy Young worthy. Last year, he came in second. He's 35 years old. He's having a very similar season this year, 6-5 record, but a 2.67 ERA. And then you're saying, okay, well, what can you tell me about Lugo? Well, let me just kind of, for those that don't watch a lot of Kansas City Royals games, but kind of appreciate what a good pitcher would be, right? So I talked about his 2.67 ERA. His whip's at 109 right now, which I think that's an important stat, right? Walks and hits per innings pitched. If you don't give up a lot of those, you're going to have a lot of clean innings and you're not giving up any runs, right? So that's through 16 starts. He's kind of a crafty guy. Some people even describe him as a mad scientist. Well, we like that. We had the two professors, right? I mean, the first one was Greg Maddux and then Kyle Hendricks, and both of those guys went on to very distinguished careers. Maddux, a Hall of Famer, and Hendricks helped the Cubs win the World Series, right? So his pitch mix is a four-seam fastball, sinker, curveball, slider, cutter, changeup, and splitter. He's known for being able to induce ground outs, sometimes can be a fly ball pitcher, but, when he needs to get the big outs, it's crazy how he has figured out how to do that with his different pitches, right? He is someone that has, like I said, just an amazing arsenal and also the ability to pitch a lot, right? I mean, he's very reliable when it comes to going out there and eating up innings. I think that it's a pretty good fit for the Cubs here. You're going to have to give up a lot to get him. There's going to be a ton of competition to, obviously to get this guy just because of the fact that that you're getting someone that has diverse pitch arsenal, strong command, is a ground ball specialist, as I mentioned before. Gets some fly balls at times, but, when he needs to get the ground ball, I mean, that's kind of his bread and butter right there. And that prevents, a lot of extra base hits when he does that, right? So, you love that being in Wrigley, especially on those days where the ball is carrying a long way. His velocity isn't really that high. I mean, he's not blowing you away with velo. It's like, 92 plus miles an hour on the average, but he's got so many different breaking balls that, he's someone that you can kind of rely on to get all of those outs. But when you look at his pitch mix, right, 31% curveballs, 21% four-seam fastball, sinker 16%, cutter 13%, changeup 10, slider 6, sweeper 2, splitter 1. So, I mean, it's like all of these pitches, and there's really not one except the curveball. And then when you watch his delivery, you totally see why the curveball is thrown so much. It's so hard to hit. The effectiveness is definitely there. But dealt with some injuries last year, made all 33 starts. So it shows you that he's healthy. And for the Cubs, this is a guy that his name keeps popping up, and I'm sure Jackson Wiggins is someone that they're looking at. The Cubs have a lot of talent in AAA right now. Some of those guys haven't had spectacular seasons like a James Triantos, but they're still prospects and they're still really good. I mean, just because of 1 year that things got off to a slow start, he's still someone that has a lot of value to an organization. So if you were trying to put a package together, you might be able to get him. So you're looking at teams right now that are on the bubble, but close to falling out, because once this All-Star break's over, I mean, you're talking about a sprint to the trade deadline, and the Cubs are going to be one of those teams that is reportedly going to be super aggressive. And I think that's going to happen, but how long it's going to take to get these deals done is also another question. All right. I'm going to talk more about Owen Caissie down the line, right? Because I want to talk about the draft in more depth, and I'm not going to do it on this particular show, but make sure that you swing over and check out the show when I do talk about it. And that's also kind of leading me to this before I do talk about Owen Caissie, is that we're brought to you by and now partnering with DCommunity. And this is really fantastic because on our site, our DCommunity site, we'll be able to go there and kind of work together on a lot of stuff and stay together, right? Like, we've got all these people that come on here and talk and get involved, but you go to DCommunity and the Cubs baseball channel on X, we'll have a presence there. We're going to branch out into other areas, but it's part of basically the future of the internet, Web3. And we're right in the grasp of this. So you got the DCommunity promo code right there, or QR code there. It'll lead you in, and make sure that you check it out. But we appreciate those guys for being a part of this, and we'll just keep kind of explaining it to you guys as we kind of move through. But that's where we're going to set up our DCommunity home, and the Cubs baseball channel is going to be there. And we've had some battles on there already with the with Mets fans that have their DCommunity site about prizes we're going to give away and who's going to hit more home runs and who's going to have a better season. Cubs are going to have a better season. I told you guys that on Twitter already, but now we're kind of moving it over here. All right, Owen Caissie. Let's talk about Owen Caissie. He was great at the Futures game. 2 walks and a double, looks the part. He has just roared into the All-Star break with a bunch of home runs. He's one of the most coveted prospects that's out there right now, and is probably going to get traded. I can't see a scenario where the Cubs don't trade him at this deadline with just all of the things we talk about constantly. Cubs need pitching. They need some other stuff. They feel like they're really close. Front office that hasn't gotten a public extension yet. If that's going to happen, we don't know, but they're going for broke right now. He's their biggest chip. Somebody's going to give up a lot to get him, and then we're going to have to deal with him being on another team and running into him, because he's going to hit a ton of home runs in his career. He's going to be a pretty good player. 23 years old. He's starting to come into his own, and he's shown that over the course of his career, always being the young guy. Now, starting to kind of catch up in age a little bit. He just turned 23. but the guy is really talented. So keep an eye on him, but congratulations on the futures game and, once again, kind of turning heads and proving that he probably belongs in the big leagues now. It's kind of crazy to me that he's still in the minor leagues. Now, the last thing I want to talk about on today's show is the All-Star lineup came out. And I'm looking at the lineup and I'm like, okay, Shohei Ohtani leading off for the NL DH, Ronald Acuna Jr., left field second, Kendall Marte, second base, Marte, second base and hitting third. Look, I like Marte, but third. Freddie Freeman batting fourth and playing first. Manny Machado, third base fifth. Will Smith catching sixth. You got Kyle Tucker in right field seventh. Francisco Lindor, shortstop eighth. Pete Crow Armstrong, center field in the ninth spot. And, of course, Paul Skeens pitching, right? I was surprised Tucker and Hollywood Pete are that far down. And it just made me laugh because I'm like looking at this and I'm like, Dave Roberts putting Freddie Freeman fourth. And then, Will Smith should be batting eighth or ninth, right? I mean, but it's like their manager, right? I'm not arguing with Shohei Ohtani leading off. I mean, it is Ohtani. But wouldn't it have been great if you had Ohtani first and then Pete Crow Armstrong second? That seems a lot more exciting to me than throwing Hollywood all the way down in that 9 spot in the lineup. But we'll see these guys again. It's still going to be fun. It's an exhibition game, right? I mean, the stats don't count. So anyway, that's the show for today. Now, I'm telling you, my draft show's coming out. Make sure that you check it out because I thought when I saw the draft that it definitely made me think there was a reason why the Cubs did what they did at the top of the draft. And I'm going to talk about it on there. And I think that it definitely telegraphed something that isn't going to be pleasant or might not be pleasant for this organization after this season. So we'll talk about that. Make sure you check out my draft show. Hey, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you for being here. Again, see you on DCommunity. We appreciate you guys for hanging out, as always, on the Cubs baseball channel. And we'll be watching Go National League. And you too, Cardinals fans. We're all one team today. We're all on the same team, and you guys know that.